same way Zacchaeus felt that they're unworthy, that people look down on them, that they don't have the abilities that other people have. You might feel overlooked by people. You might feel overlooked by God. Like maybe God passed you by and doesn't know you, that you're just a face in the crowd. You may feel disqualified, but God never lost sight of his purpose for your life, because each and every person has a purpose that he has called you to in your life. You may feel insignificant, but Jesus can stop in the middle of thousands and call you by your name. He can call you out of a crowd of thousands and know you individually. God knows you individually. He knew you in your mother's womb. He knew you before you were formed. The crowd saw a sinner. Jesus saw a son. The crowd saw his past, or even his present, because what this man was doing was taking money from those in his community and giving it to the government. Well, sometimes he was taking a little off the top, because that's what a lot of those tax collectors did. So he was charging more, giving the correct amount to the government, but keeping some for himself. That's what they thought he was, a dishonest man, a sinner, somebody that wasn't worthy. But Jesus saw his potential. And sometimes we get stuck in our situation. Sometimes we get stuck in what we think our abilities are. And we can't see our own potential. We can't see the forest for the trees. Have you ever heard of that saying? I say that to my kids sometimes, that their parents are here to help them see the forest for the trees, because their brains aren't fully developed, for one, and we've already been there. We can already see their path. We can already see the path they're headed on. Well, Jesus can already see your path. God knows your path. God knows your potential. God knows what path you're headed down with the decisions that you've made, or with the calling that you have on your life. He knows the path for your life. And he can see the full forest where we can only see what's right in front of us. And we have to trust and have faith and step out in faith and trust in the Lord that he's going to guide our steps. I want to share that I've always kind of been in a kind of a Zacchaeus in this way. My husband's a pastor, so I lean on his leadership at home. I lean on his prayers. I lean on those things. And I just trust that he's got it. Well, sometimes he needs my help in our spiritual life. Sometimes he needs my help and my prayers. And I think, well, he's the minister. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need me to pray for these things. He's got it. God, you called him. But we had been going through some things. And in our family, we had been going through some things, and we needed an answer from God. And I finally determined in myself, Lord, I'm going to pray over this. I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to declare and decree over this situation. And I didn't even ask him about it. I didn't even tell him about it. I just said, Lord, we're gonna have a little talk about this. And we're going to have answers. And you, Lord, I am putting this before you. I'm not going to take control. I'm putting this at your feet. And things are going to change tomorrow. Things are going to be different tomorrow. And guess what? They were. We started getting phone calls. We started getting things in the mail. Things started turning around. Just immediately, things started happening. And my husband's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Look at all this that's happening. God's answering our prayers. And I finally said, well, me and the Lord had a talk. And I laid before the Lord and said, things are going to change. I'm decreeing and declaring before the Lord that things are going to change tomorrow. And I thought, who am I? My own husband is the pastor of a church. If his prayers can't get through, what am I? But maybe that's just what God was waiting on. God was waiting on me to just let it go. God was waiting on me to lay it before his feet, to break through when I'm feeling like I'm not worthy enough to come before him about this because my own husband does it. He can take care of it. He's higher than me. But no, God doesn't see it that way. He doesn't see him higher than me. He sees us as his children. I have 5 children, and I love them all of them. And if you ask them, I don't think they're all in here. They all left to go to children's church. But if you ask them, they think I have favorites. I might have a favorite in the moment. Whoever's the cutest at that moment. And whoever's being the nicest in that moment. But I would lay my life down for all of my children. All of them. Equally. I love them all equally. I love each and every one of them. There is not one above the other. And God feels the same way about each of you. There is not one above the other. God has a calling on every person's life. And he does not expect us to sit back and be observers and wait for someone else to take over or wait for someone else to do it. He wants you to step out and do it. He wants you to step out and declare and decree on your life. He wants you to step out and say, Lord, I'm giving it to you. I'm not waiting on somebody else. I'm going to make it happen. I'm coming before you, Lord, and I'm going to make it happen. I'm not waiting for somebody else, because it seems like a lot of us are standing around waiting for somebody else. That somebody else isn't coming. We got to step in that place and step in the gap for our families, step in the gap for our financial situation, step in the gap for our marriage, and say, Lord, I'm declaring, decreeing before you that this situation is going to change, that Lord, I'm going to step into this calling that you called me to, even if I'm not prepared for it. Because you'll prepare me. You'll equip me. It may seem like I'm not worthy. It may seem like I'm not ready. But Lord, you'll make it happen. You'll make it happen. When we decided to become pastors and we were called to be pastors of the church, it was a hard thing to accept for me, because becoming a pastor's wife meant giving a little bit up on my own husband and giving a little bit up on my own family. And I didn't know if I was ready for that. And if anybody knows me personally, I'm a introverted person. This is all the Lord. This is not me. I do not like to speak in front of people. I do not like to be in crowds or be social. The Lord has worked on that in me. And I said, Lord, how am I going to be a pastor's wife when I like to just stay home in my pajamas and every evening? Like, how's that going to work? You could barely, like, I would do the stuff at my own church back in Tampa that I needed to do, what I was required to do. But I loved to be the background person. I loved doing all the flyers. I loved doing the website. I loved doing the social media. You can get me to do all that stuff. But get me to show up to all the 50,000 events that they had, no. I would find any excuse to stay home. I'm that person. Find any excuse to cancel plans. But the Lord has changed my heart and has put a heart in me for the people of this church. And I didn't know how it was going to happen. And when we accepted this role, I just felt this love for this church and this love for these people, all of you. And I started out saying, and these were our mentors, Sharon and Chuck. I started out by saying, what would Pastor Sharon do? She's like the best pastor's wife I ever knew. And I thought, what would Pastor Sharon do in these situations? What would she do? Because I'm terrible. I'm terrible at texting people. I'm terrible at remembering to call people back. But she's the best at it. She is the best at peopling. If you know what that is, like just loving on people and calling people and remembering what's going on in their life. I'm terrible at that stuff. But God has just opened my heart for that. And it's been so difficult for me, but I have just surrendered that to Him and let Him take over in that place. But in our lives, God's going to call us into things that's going to make us uncomfortable. And that was an uncomfortable thing for me. But there's going to be a lot of positions and places that you're going to be called to that's uncomfortable for you. It's uncomfortable roles, uncomfortable things that you have to step into, uncomfortable places you've got to step into to help people. But you're going to make a difference because He's got a plan and a purpose. So if He opens a door for you, don't shut that door. A lot of people want to sit up in that tree like Zacchaeus, shut the door, sit up in the tree, and just let someone else do it. Somebody else will do it. They don't need me. But the crowd, when they saw Zacchaeus and Jesus said He wanted to dine with him, He wanted to have fellowship with him, they saw a sinner and Jesus saw a son. The crowd saw His past, and Jesus saw His potential. The crowd saw who He had been, and Jesus saw who He could become. The greatest tragedy isn't that people reject Jesus, because that happens all the time, and that is a tragedy when people reject Jesus. The greatest tragedies are when people are so close to Jesus, so close to their calling, so close to their purpose, yet they choose to stay up in the tree. You're so close, yet so far. They keep watching, they keep observing, they keep waiting, all while Jesus is trying to invite you down into relationship. Jesus didn't die so you could simply attend church and go through the motions. He died so you could know Him, so you could be in relationship with Him. He didn't die so you could watch ministry happen. He died so you could be a part of the kingdom work. We have to be a part of that kingdom work. He didn't die for the crowds. He died for the individuals. When he went to the cross, he knew individually each of your names. He knew every mistake you would make, every failure, every disappointment, and yet he still chose to go to the cross. Think about that. He knew all that we would do, and yet he still chose to go, even though he had a choice not to. He had a choice. He was a divine being. But he still chose to go. Today, Jesus is walking by again, and he is asking some of you to come down from that tree. Come down from observation, from hesitation, from excuses, from feeling unworthy and unqualified, because Jesus isn't calling spectators, he's calling disciples. He's calling us to disciple others to Jesus. And that is the calling, the ultimate calling. He told them, go and make disciples. That is what he wanted us to do. And a lot of us are failing at that. We're just living our life, going through the motions, going through day by day, going to work, going home. I know I'm guilty of that myself. I go to work, come home, drive kids to school, drive kids home from school, drive them to band camp, drive them to practice, do all the things. Come home, make dinner. I know it's life. We go through these motions in life and we forget about our purpose is to make disciples and to bring others to Christ and to bring others into the kingdom. That is our purpose and our calling. That's our true calling as followers of Christ. And are we fulfilling our purpose, or are we just sitting back and waiting for someone else to do it? Because a lot of us are sitting back and waiting and saying someone else will get them. Maybe that coworker at work, oh, someone else will talk to them. I won't talk. I don't need to. Somebody else will get them. Or maybe it's somebody at school or someone in your family. Somebody else will do it. But he's calling us to disciple those around us. He's calling us to disciple them into the kingdom. He's calling servants. He's calling servants in the church to serve and do that kingdom work. He's calling sons and daughters. And he's calling you by name, individually, to have an individual relationship with him. Not something that's cookie cutter, not something that can be replicated, not something you can just do day by day and just follow the motions. He wants an intimate relationship with each individual person. Just like with Zacchaeus, he wanted to dine with him personally and spend time with him and get to know him. Are you merely watching Jesus? Are you walking with Jesus? And I'll say that again. Are you merely watching Jesus up in that tree? Or are you walking with him, walking next to him, walking in your purpose, walking towards what he's got for your calling in your life? Have you just been attending church or watching online? Or have you become part of what God is doing through his church? Because God is doing so much through his church. We've got the food pantry. We've got the community closet. We've got people coming in who need prayer. People coming in who need their lives touched and changed. And maybe you could be the person to change their life. and you don't even know it. You could have a word, you could have something that you've gone through that could change a person and change what they're going through in their life, and you don't even know it because you're waiting for someone else to do it, and you're just sitting back and watching. Today, Jesus is still saying, come down. I want to fellowship with you. I know your name, and I have a purpose for your life. And I love that last verse in Luke 19 and 10. It says, come down, I want to, in the last verse it says, for the Son of Man come to seek and save those who are lost. That was his purpose. His purpose was to come and seek and save those who are lost. And he gave us a directive to fulfill that discipleship purpose, to fulfill the Great Commission. Because that is our purpose as Christians. That's our purpose as the church, to disciple and bring others who are lost to him. Zacchaeus thought he was seeking Jesus. But the truth was, Jesus was seeking Zacchaeus all along. Sometimes we think that we're the ones searching, but Jesus was searching for us all along. He was waiting all along. He was there waiting for you the whole time to just take that step of faith. Just like in my life, when I decided to turn that situation over to him, he was waiting for me all along to turn that situation around. He didn't need Marcus to do it. He was waiting for me to decide that I was worthy enough to come before him, that I was worthy enough to lay it at his feet. He was waiting there all along. And I thought the whole time I was going to seek after him. But when we're seeking after God, he's going to embrace us because he's been there all along. And he's still seeking his people today. He's seeking all of you to come before him and lay at his feet. He's seeking you to have a closer relationship with him. He's seeking you to get deeper with him and not have a surface level relationship and just watching and observing what's going on or going through the motions in your life. Because it's easy to be that surface level Christian and say, oh, I serve in the church and I do all the right things and I do this and that and I say a prayer. But do you really lay before your face before God and say, God, I turn my life over to you, whatever it be, whatever is going to happen from here on out, it's on you, Lord. And Lord, I seek a relationship with you. I want to be close to you, God. Because God wants to be close to us. Worship team, you can come.